Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Chaitanyam Sarvagam Sarvam Sarvabhuta Guhashayam Yat Sarva Vishayatitam Tasmai Sarvavide Namaha. Now we're starting a new chapter. Chapter 17 is called Samyak Mati Prakaranam. Samyak Mati, right knowledge. So this Prakaranam, the chapter which expounds the Samyak Mati. Oh, just yeah, okay, very good. All right. I'm now enjoying it. Introducing this, the Tikakara says, Parapaksha Nirakarana Mukhena Uktam Moksha Sadhanam Jnanam. The earlier chapter, in the last part of the chapter mainly, Parapaksha Nirakaranam, refuting the paksha, the position of the other thinkers or opponents. Tad mukhena uktam moksha sadhanam. Even nirakaranam, refuting also the opposite views, the contrary views, is mananam, for removing any doubts that those thoughts may arise, or those conclusions, those positions may arise in our mind. Because apparently those positions, thoughts are entertained by people who are reputed thinkers, and therefore their conclusions may create doubts in us. Therefore, to eliminate those doubts and also discover a more firm commitment, not only to moksha, that commitment is there, but that self-knowledge is the only means, that moksha is the essential nature of Atma, myself. It is ignorance that creates in me the notion that I am bound, and therefore moksha is of the nature of the despairing or removal of this notion by knowledge. Moksha sadhanam jnanam. The self-knowledge is the moksha sadhanam, because self-ignorance creates the notion of bondage. Uktam, this was done. Swaprakriyayapi vyakti kardam. That jnanam moksha sadhanam knowledge is the means of moksha, was done in one way, the swaprakriya, aprakriya, one's own prakriya, which is the attainment of what is already attained. Moksha is the removal of the notion, etc. Prakarantaram arvamana. The teacher who is desirous or who is beginning, commencing the next prakaran, new prakaran, before doing that, Devata bhakte vidya praptyantarangatvam. The Devata bhakti, yasya deve parabhakti. Parabhakti, an unswerving devotion, commitment to Devata, meaning to the self, to the Atma. So, Bhakti Vidya Praptyantarangatvam, the devotion towards Devata, towards the self, whom I want to know, the knowledge of whom, or knowledge of which is the means of moksha. And therefore, I will know the self, and that can happen when the self becomes favorable to me. When it reveals before me. So this is also a view. As Lord Krishna says, Teshāmivanukampātam aham tamah nāshayami atmabhavastaha. That I dispel the darkness of ignorance. Meaning I reveal myself to them. Yame vaishavanurate tasisha atma vinurate tanum swam. Knowledge takes place when Devata, the self-effulgent Lord, the Atma, whom I want to know, becomes favorable to me, he reveals himself to me, and therefore I very much need the grace of that Devata, the Atma Krupa, for the knowledge of Atma, and for that the bhakti, the devotion and the prayer is the means. Therefore, Devata bhakte vidya prapte antarangatvam. It is the antaranga sadhanam, bahiranga sadhanam, karma antaranga sadhanam. Bhakti, the devotion, prayer is the more proximate means for the knowledge. Dyotayan. This is what the teacher wants to reveal or wants us to understand. He wants to make it known that this bhakti of the Devata is the proximate means of knowledge of Devata. Prakarana pratipadyartham. Artham, the subject matter, pratipadya, that is sought to be expounded in this chapter. Is Paramatma Brahman. Namaskara Vyajena, in the pretext of saluting the artha, the subject matter, saluting the Devata, which is the sign of bhakti for the Devata. In that salutation, the way the salutation is performed, it reveals also the subject matter or what is sought to be expounded here in this chapter. Sankshipyaha. Prakarana pratipadyartham sankshipyaha. Here summarizing the pratipadyartha, the subject matter that is sought to be communicated in this chapter, is described very briefly here by way of the salutation to the Devata, which salutation is a mark of bhakti, which bhakti is a means of jnanam. So that's how the first verse is here, Atma Jnayati. So the first verse is Atma Jnayah Paro Hyatma Yasmadanyanna Vidyate सर्वज्ञ सर्वदृक् शुद्धः तस्मै ज्ञेयात्मने नमः। आत्मा ज्ञेय है। Atma is near, one that is to be known, that is worthy of being known, which should be known. Parohyatma, Atma is para, Atma is limitless, the supreme. Why? Yasmad anyan vidyate. There is nothing that exists apart from Atma. The one non-dual, limitless reality is para, supreme. And therefore is one that is worth or that should be known. What's the nature of Atma? Sarvagnya, omniscient, Sarvadruk, all-knowing, Shuddha, ever pure. Tasmai Jnayatmane Namaha. To Jnayatma, that Atma which is to be known, to that Atma Namaha, my salutation. For Atma to become favorable to me, so that I know him. So Atma Jnaya. The Tika says Atma Swarupam Jnaya Swarupata Avadharya. What is Atma? My essential nature. My essential nature Swarupam is called Atma. Jnaya is to be known. What is meant by being known? Swarupatah avadharya. Avadharya. It must be ascertained Swarupatah by what its true nature is. But Atma is known even now also. And I have also a judgment about what Atma is. But Swarupatah avadharya, that knowledge which I think I have of myself is not in keeping with what the essential nature is. Therefore, my knowledge of myself should become compatible in keeping with what the essential nature is. Kim ghatadivat vishayattvena avadharya. The essential nature of Atma, is it like ghatapata, which is Vishaya, which is the object of knowledge, is Atma to be known as an object of knowledge, like a ghata is known? Na ityaha, no. Parohyatma, well, Atma is paraha, it is supreme, most exalted. He, yasmat, Atma, sarvajnayat paraha. Atma is jnaya. Atma is para. Para means what? Sarvajnayat para. It is the most exalted or superior to all the knowable things. Jnaya means knowable. So whatever knowable there is in this universe, Atma is superior to that. In what respect? Jnayatva dharma rahita. Because Atma is devoid of the dharma, the attribute of knowable. So Atma is the most exalted knowable because it is devoid of knowability. So anything that possesses knowability can be known, but one that does not possess knowability has to be known in a different way, and therefore it is the paraha, it is the most supreme Atma paraha. Tat kutah. What's the reason why Atma is jnayatva dharma rahita? Atma is rahita, devoid of dharma, the attribute of jnayatva. That Atma is devoid of the nature of being known. Atma is devoid of being knowable. Kutah? For what reason? Everything is knowable, why not Atma? Tatra yasmat anyan na vidyate. Because nothing other than Atma exists. So Atma is incomparable. What is other than Atma is jnaya and knowable. And Atma is different from knowable, therefore incomparable. Yasmad Atmana Swarupat Anyat Paramatata Pruthak Tad Dharmava Na Vidyate. Yasmad Anyat Na Vidyate. Yasmad Anyat Atmana Swarupat Anyat. So either Yasmad is because, Yasmad is fifth case. Yasmad Atmana. From which Atma? Means what? Atma is Swarupam. From essential nature of myself. Paramatata Prathak Bhutam. So that which is Prathak Bhutam, which is different in true sense. So right now I think that many things are different from me, the Atma. But when we essentially analyze the nature of what I look upon as different from myself, it will turn out to be nothing but Atma only. And the Paramatata. In reality, there is nothing that can stand apart from Atma, because for anything to exist, it depends upon existence, that is Atma. Tad dharma vana vidyate. Or dharma, Atma doesn't possess any dharma or any attribute also which can stand apart from Atma. Because the Vaisheshikas see the difference between dharma and dharmi. So for them, dharma is different from dharmi. If Atma is dharmi, then Atma possesses some attributes different. There is no attribute also which stands apart from Atma. There is no entity that stands apart from Atma, nor is there an attribute that stands apart from Atma. And therefore, it is not Gneya. Atma is not knowable. So whatever means of knowledge that we have, they don't have a scope with reference to revealing Atma. So Pramakaranam Pramanam. Pramanam, the valid means of knowledge. Pramakaranam, that creates the valid knowledge. So Pramanam, means of knowledge, that which reveals the object of knowledge. So Pratyaksha perception. The eyes reveal the colors and forms of an object, and that way eyes become the pramanam for perception. So now the Tikakara takes up the six pramanas that Vedanta accepts. Mimamsa and Vedanta. So Pratyaksha, Anumana, Upamana, Arthapatti, Anupalabdhi and Shabda. So one by one these pramanas are taken up, analyzed to see whether any one of them is capable of revealing Atma, whether Atma can be revealed by any one of these means of knowledge. So first is Pratyaksha. That is the primary means of knowledge, is a perception. Tathacha, to illustrate how Atma is Agneya, is not knowable. So whatever is knowable can be known through one of these six means of knowledge. Tathacha, to illustrate, Rupadi Vihinataya, Chakshuradi Agocharatvat. So Atma cannot be an object of perception. What is an object of perception? That which can be known through an organ of perception. So Chakshuradi Gocharam, that which can become the subject matter of the organ of perception, such as Chakshu, is Pratyaksham. Rupadi Vihinataya Ashabdam Asparsham Arupam. Since Atma is devoid of all the attributes of sound and color and form and touch, etc., therefore Atma is not available for perception, Pratyaksha. Next is Anumanam. Swasamana Jatiya Pratyaksha Vyaktyantara Abhavat Vyapti Graha Bhave Sati Anumana. Abhaha. So, absence of Atma being revealed by the Anumanam, which is inference. Atma cannot become the object of inference. Because what can become the object of inference? Only that which is where perception is there, then only perception can lead to inference. No other. If that is enough, that is not perceived, then it is not available by any other means of knowledge anyway. But still, each one is examined separately. So, Anumanam is traditionally defined as Vyapti Paksha Dharmata Vishishta Linga Jnanam. Anumanam is Linga Jnanam, knowledge of Linga, knowledge of evidence. So, Parvato Vandiman Dhumatvat. When you see Dhuma, then there is an inference of Agni. So, Linga Jnanam, the perception of the smoke, is what leads to the inference of fire. Which smoke? Vyapti Paksha Dharmata Vishishta. Paksha is the pahada. And so, Parvato Vandiman, Parvataha. The hillock is a Paksha. And the hillock possesses, so Dhumatvat possesses Dhuma, smoke. So that is Paksha Dharmata. That the hillock has Dharmata, is possessed of the smokeness, which is Vyapti. What is Vyapti? Yatra yatra dhuma tatra tatra vanya udaharanam. Yatha mahanas, just as in the kitchen where the smoke is, there the fire is. So similar smoke is here, not the same smoke. And so this hillock also possesses smoke, similar to the smoke which is always accompanied by fire. That is Vyapti. Smoke is always accompanied by fire, and this hillock is possessed of the smoke, is always accompanied by fire. Therefore, this hillock also is accompanied by fire. So therefore, the knowledge of the smoke, which is centered, which obtains in the Paksha or where the Dharma, this doubt is. So, knowledge of that linga is called Anumanam. Here, Swasamana Jatiya Pratyaksha Vyakyantara Abhavat. Swasamana Jatiya Pratyaksha. The smoke here, which is similar to the other smoke that we see, Vyakyantara. So, one smoke is there, other smoke is there, then only one smoke becomes similar to other one, therefore becomes means of Anumanam. But Atma doesn't have any entity other than of its own kind, Swasamana. Jatiye Pratyaksha Vyakyantara Bhavat. There is no Vyakti or entity which can be objectified, which is similar to the same class as Atma. Therefore, Vyapti Graha Bhave. Vyapti means the universal rule. Since Atma, the fire becomes the object of inference when there is smoke. And the smoke which is Swasamana Jatiya. When that is not there, then one cannot become the fire, cannot become the object of inference. So also Atma doesn't have anything similar to that because it is non-dual. And therefore, Vyapti Graha, there is no Vyapti. Yatra yatra dhumaha tatra tatra vannihi. That dhuma must be there, vanni must be there, and then that duality is not there, therefore Atma cannot become object of inference. Arthapatti also similar. Arthapatti is presumption. Anyatha anupatti darshanat. So, what is it? Pino devadattaha divana bhungte. This fat devadatta is seen not to eat during the day, but the weight loss is not there. Maybe it continues to grow. You wonder, the same weight is maintained, so you wonder. We don't see him eating during the day, So you presume that that empty person must be eating at night. In some way must be eating. Swami, if you go to the room, then you find this, that and so forth. Don't find the person eating anything in front of you, or more or less nothing. But the weight loss is not there. They infer that some source must be there, which must sustain the body. So that is the arthapatti, presumption. So, anumana is not there, then arthapatti also cannot be there. Because arthapatti grahatya bhava. You have to see the person, that Devadatta, who is fat, and fatness connected with food. So you don't see them together. Therefore there is a presumption that the eating must be there because the fatness is there. In that sense, there is a difference between arthapatti and anumanam. Anumanam, you see the coexistence of the linga, and the inference, the objective inference. Here you don't see that connection. And therefore this is a different kind of anumanam, you can say. Upamanam, sadrushya jnanat. So sadrushya jnana. So sadrusha vastvantara bhavena upamana grahyatvat. There is no vastvantara, there is no entity like Atma, similar to Atma, that you can infer one Atma from other Atma. Or you can infer Atma from something similar to Atma. If there is an entity, there is a similarity between Atma and something else, then you can say that this is the Gavaya and this is cow. Therefore, a Gavaya looks similar to a cow. And therefore, this must be a cow. This is not a cow, so it must be Gavaya. Because Sadrusham is there, similar to cow. Sadrusha jnana aparatra. So elsewhere also when you see, you infer that this then that is the comparison, that this must be Gavaya. Shashti jati guna kriya dharma rahityana shabda gocharatvat. Something can be described only when it possesses the Shashti sambandha, jati, the birth, guna, the attribute, kriya, the activity. So this kind of dharma, the attributes, if something possesses, then it can become the object of being described by words. But Atma doesn't possess any of them because nirdharmaka, never cannot become the object of shabda, na tatra shabda. So, yito vacho nivartante. Yeah, anupalabdhi, yogyatva. So something that possesses the yogyata, fitness of being there, but is not there. There is no pot in my hand. So pot could be there, but is not there. So anupalabdhi. So jnatuhu swarupattvadeva nasti iti abhivigantum ashakyatvat. Anything that becomes the object of knowledge, object of the notion nasti, is not there. It could be there, which is not there. But Atma is the nature of existence, therefore there cannot be that Atma is not or I am not. Jnatu swarupatvadeva. Because the existence, the very nature of the Atma is the very swarupa of the knower. So knower has to be there to say something is not there, and therefore knower has to be there to declare absence of something, and therefore the absence of knower can never be there, arrived at. Therefore, anupalabdhi is not there. So pratyaksha, anumana, then arthapatti, upamana, anupalabdhi, shabda, all the six pramana are examined. Atma is not available for being revealed by any of these means of knowledge. Parisheshat. So you eliminate now. Atma is not subject to perception. Therefore, whatever is subject to perception is not Atma. Atma is not subject to inference. So whatever is inference is not Atma. So what is subject to pratyaksha, upamana, Arsapatti, Anupalabdhi, Shabda, Upamanam. That is not Atma. Therefore, this enables us to negate anything that is subject to one or more of these means of knowledge is not Atma. So, Parisheshat, Vishayabhuta, Dehendriya, Antahkarana, Pratyakhyānena. So, Pratyakhyānam, the negation of, dismissal of or negation of, is Atma. Vishayabhuta, Dehendriya, Antahkarana. So, Deha, Indriya, Antahkarana, this Upadhi, which is available for Pratyaksha, Anumana, Upamana, etc. And therefore, this Upadhi which is subject of one or more of these means of knowledge, Pratyakhyānena, you dismiss them as Atma, meaning that they cannot be Atma. Deha cannot be Atma, Pratyakshataya, and Indriyas cannot be Atma. They call it, so Anumanam. According to Nayayika, sense organs are inferred, and mind also is inferred. And so, Pratyaksha, Anumanam, and any other Pramanam is not applicable, even Shabda. Therefore, Anvishya. So, this is how Anveshanam takes place. So, then what remains after dismissing or negating all negatable things? Tat sakshataya avishayattvena. So Atma is not the Vishaya of any of this Pramana, but Atma is. See, non-existence of Atma cannot be arrived at because it is very Swarupa of the one who is investigating. Therefore, Atma is, that is established. At the same time, Atma is not available for Pratyakshadi Pramana. So, whatever is available for perception, etc., when all of them are determined to be Anatma, then what remains is Tat Sakshitaya Avishayattvena. Atma is not the Vishaya, not object of knowledge, then is Sakshi, the witness, illuminator, because all of these things are known. Deha, Indriya, Manaha, Buddhi, and all objects are known, they are all revealed, illumined. There is no pramana, the only pramana that illumines them is Atma. So, Tat Sakshitaya, Avishayattvena, they are all illuminated, so there is an illuminator. It says it is not object of perception. Therefore, Tat Sakshitaya, Avishayattvena. Tasmai, so yat sarva vishayatitam. So that which is not a vishaya, not an object, the very nature of the subject. Sakshi, the witness or illuminator of all of these. So this is how Anvishya. That is how the Anveshanam or the inquiry into the nature of self takes place. Swam Prakash Atma Jnaya. Anything that is subject to being revealed by the Pramanam is Paraprakashyam. Atma is the only entity that doesn't require to be revealed by means of knowledge. Therefore, Swam Prakasha Atma Gneha Ityartha. So Atma Gneha, this is how Atma is to be known as Swam Prakasha. Self-effulgent. As a witness, as a very essential nature of the inquirer of myself. So first line says Atma Gneha. Parohi Atma is Paraha Supreme. Jasmat Anyanna Vidyate. Whatever is other than Atma is subject of one of the six Pramanams, the Vishaya. Other than Atma is Vishaya, the object that is subject to being illumined or known through one of the six Pramanams. So Atma is not there, therefore it is Avishaya. It is Asti, existence, self-shining, the witness. That is how by inquiry or Anveshan, you arrive at the Atma yourself as Swam Prakasha, the self-effulgent consciousness that is not subject to any means of knowledge because it is self-shining. Evam Tvam Padartham Parishodhya. So first line of the verse helps the Shodhanam. Because Atma is already known, therefore we have to know it correctly by eliminating what is Anatma in that. That is why these Parishesha Nyaya. The true in Atma, there are also elements that are subject of Pratyaksha, Anuvana, etc. The eliminating that, Atma is become Shuddha. Tum Padartham Parishodhya Tasya Tat Padarthatmakatvam Vakyartham Kathaidum. What is the Vakya? Mahavakya. Tattvamasi. Where Tvam is the Tvam Padartha. Tat is the Tat Padartha Ishvara. Tasya Tat Padarthatmakatvam. Mahavakya Tattvamasi reveals the identity. The Tvam is Tat Padarthaka. So, Tvam is Tat. So, Tat Padarthak. Okay? And Tat is Tvam Padarthatmaka. So, what is the nature of the word Tvam? Is the nature of the word Tat. Tat is Atma of Tvam. Tvam is the Atma of Tat. They are identical. That is Vakyartham. Vakyartham Kathaitam. So, that eliminates the distance that we have presumed in ourselves in Brahman. So the Tvam-pada, the investigation eliminates sense of limitedness in Atma because the limited Upadhi was mixed with the Atma, recognizing that that is knowable, that's a Vishaya, and I am Avishaya, therefore removing Vishayas from my understanding of myself, leaves Svaprakasha, and then still I think that Brahman, Jagat Karanam is different from me. The Jagat Karanam also is same consciousness that I am. Vakyaham Kathaitum. This is what Upanishad wants us to recognize, that you are Jagat Karanam. That means you are one non-dual. That means you are limitless. Kathaitum. And so this teaching is based on what our present conclusions are. So we already have a conclusion or a notion about ourselves. One notion is, I am a conscious being but a limited entity. Second notion is that I want to be limitless, but that limitless is different from me. So based on my present understanding of myself, the teaching is important. The teaching must be such that it is relevant to me. I mean, I can understand relativities and particles, physics, this, that, but not relevant to me. It's nice to know. It may also help us make our life more comfortable and smarter. But all of those accomplishments do not in any way make me free from my notion of being a limited individual. So that is where my problem is. So human problem is caused by the perception of the self. And that is why it becomes the focus of the teaching of the Upanishad. Where the problem is. Therefore, tasya tat padarthatmakatvam vakyartham mahavakyartham. Mahavakyartha is that the one that is Tvam is the same as Tat. So now what is Tat Padartha? Tat Padartha. So when you now analyze what Tat Padartha is, then it turns out the same as Tvam Padartha. So Tat Padartha, next line says Sarvajñah. That is Ishvara. So as far as Brahman is concerned, Ishvara is concerned, he is omniscient, he is all-knowing, and other things that go with it, omnipotent, etc. So Sarvajñah, Sarvadruk, yes, Sarvajñah, Sarvadruk. That's what Mundakopanishad says. Therefore, those words are here. Yes, Sarvagnya, Sarvadruk, yes, Shesha Mahima Bhuvi. Samanyatah Sarvam Janati Sarvagnya. The one that knows everything in general is called Sarvagnya. Visheshata Sarvam Pashi Sarvadruk. Sarvam Pashyati, so Sarvam Janati, because Gnya. So Gnya means to know. And Drush Pashya, so Sarvam Pashyati. Visheshata Pashyati. One who sees or knows everything in particular is called Sarvadruk. But who knows everything in general is called Sarvagnya. So he knows the universal as well as particular. Knows the clay as well as pot. So knowing these objects as clay is Sarvajnata. But knowing it as pot and every other detail about it is called Sarvadruktva. Sarvajnatvam upalakshanamuktva. But this is not essential nature of Brahma. Being all-knowing in general and all-knowing in particular, knowingness is not the essential nature of Brahman. Also upalakshanam. That the knower must be a conscious being and must be consciousness. So this tatastha lakshanam, the omniscience, etc., are the tatastha lakshanam, incidental attributes of Brahman. But knowingness is that, therefore the essential nature is consciousness. Whether knowingness is there or not is incidental. When the creation is there is knowingness. Creation is not there is not knowingness. But the consciousness is. Swarupa lakshanam, tatastha lakshanam, swarupa lakshanam, shuddha iti. So ever pure, that is the essential nature which never deprived of shuddhatva. Brahman can be deprived of sarvajnatvam, sarvadruktvam when there is no sarva. When sarvam is there, jagat is there, then Brahman can be called all-knowing. When all is not there, as in pralaya, then the all-knowing also is not there. The all-knowingness is also an incidental attribute, upalakshanam, not essential. So what is essential that never leaves Brahman, even in pralaya also, in deep sleep also, what is there is consciousness. So what is Shuddha? Anuta, Jada, Parichinna, Dukkhadi, Prapancha, Samsarga, Rahitaha, Shuddha. So Ashuddha, Samsarga, Rahitaha, Shuddha. Not only pure by essential nature, but not subject to impurity, not subject to being polluted by anything. Because ever free from samsarga or any contact with impurity. So what is impurity? The jagat. Brahman is satyam, jnanam, anandam, anandam. That's how the essential nature of Brahman is said. The contrary to that is anutam. Satyam is this truth. Anuta is untruth, mithya. Jadam, jnanam is consciousness, this is unconscious, jadam. But anantam, infinite, this is parichinna, limited. Anandam, Brahman is ananda, this is dukkham. Dukkhadi, prapancha, this is a prapancha, the creation, includes also this upadhi. Samsarga rahitaha. So Brahman is the Jagat Adhishthanam. So from the Jagat which is perceptible or known, the Adhishthanam, the substratum is being pointed out. So Jagat becomes the incidental attribute of Brahman, which is Adhishthanam, the substratum of the Jagat. So what is available for knowledge becomes the Upalakshanam. Becomes the incidental attribute of what is the essential, which is Adhishthanam. But Adhisthana is always Adhyaropa Samsarga Rahitam. The guna dosha of the Adhyaropa never touched the Adhisthana. Satya, Jnana, Ananda Rupa Ityartaha. So Sarvajna, Sarvadruk is Satya, Jnana, Satyam, Jnanam, Anandam, and Anandam is added there. Satya, Jnana, Ananda Rupa Ityartha. That is the Tatpada. So Shuddha leads us to the Adhisthana. That's essential, that's the what is indicated by our Tat. Vakyātam Tattvam Padartha Aikyamaha. What Mahavakyata? Tattvam Padartha Aikyam, the identity of the Padartha, the meaning of the word Tvam and meaning of the Tat, not Tat and Tvam, but the Artha. So what is meant by the word Tat and what is meant by the word Tvam? So when the teacher says Tvam, then what I think is something else, what the teacher means by the word Tvam. And what the teacher means by the word Tat, they are identical. Meaning I am the Adhisthana of the Jagat. Tasmai Jnayatmane Namaha. That Namaha reveals the identity. Purvakta Prakarana Jnayascha so Atma cha Jnayatma. Purvakta Prakarana Jnaya so Atma cha Jnayatmane Namaha. So Jnayascha Atma cha Jnayatma. That's how it is explained. And so that one who is Jnaya as well as Atma. And so this is a kind of Tatpurusha Samasa. So that which is known in the manner that we said is Adhisthana. And that is Atma, Swarupa, the essential nature of myself. That's called Jnayatma. Tasmai Jnayatmane Namaha. Tasmai Sarvajnati Upalakshitaya. That, so Tasmai is that which is Upalakshita, which is inferred by the Sarvajnatvam, Sarvadruktvam, Satyadi Swarupaya, so of which the Sarvajnatvam, Sarvadruktvam is the Upalakshanam, Tatastha Lakshanam, of which Satyadi Satyam Jnanavantam is the Swarupa Lakshanam. To that Jnayatma, who is Jnaya, one is to be known, Jnaya means one to be known in this manner as a very Adhishthanam, as a very self. So known, to be known as Satyam Jnanandam, as Atma, the very self, to that Namaha, to that Paramatma, Namaha, Namaskara. Prahvi Bhavastu. Teacher says, I bow down to that Paramatma, which is my essential nature. So what's the nature of Namaskara? Tad bhedushti vilaya evaiya namashabdartha. So the culmination of Namaskara is a bheda between the one who bows down and one to whom the Namaskara is done. So culmination of Namaskara is the recognition of identity. Namaskara is when I offer myself the feet of, say, Devata. So what is the culmination of offering? I offer myself completely. I am no more there. All there is Devata. And that's how that percept vision of identity is the ultimate meaning of Namaha. And that is how the Devata Bhakte Vidya Praptyantanangatvam. Nama is a bhakti, salutation, surrender, sharanagati. That's a bhakti. And that becomes means of the knowledge. So Prakarana Pratipadhyartham, this is Tattvamasi. That Brahman, which is the meaning of the Mahavakya, is what is going to be expounded in this Prakarana. Atma Swarupam. So that is Sankshipya. In brief, the Mahavakya, meaning of Mahavakya, which is the subject matter of this chapter, is briefly explained here. In the pretext of Devata Bhakti, indicating that Devata Bhakti also is the proximate means of knowledge. And what should be known is this subject matter of this chapter. All of this is stated in this one verse. Tvam-pada, Tat-pada, and the identity of the two. Devata bhaktivat guru bhaktayapi vidya praptyantarangatvam. So like the bhakti of the Devata, whom I want to know, and bhakti of the Guru, through whom I want to know. Because ultimately Upanishad is pramanam, but Upanishad becomes pramanam to me when it is unfolded by Guru. Therefore Guru is essential in pursuit of this knowledge, and therefore Guru Kripa is equally essential. Atma Kripa, because Atma I want to know, therefore Atma Kripa is most important. But the Shastra Kripa, of course, and then Guru, through whom I want to know, so Guru Kripa becomes more, because Guru is Pratyaksha. So Devata Bhaktivat, Guru Bhaktehe, Devata is whom I want to know, Guru is Pratyaksha, through whom I seek to know. Vidya Praptyang Garatvam, that also is Antarangam, the proximate means of Vidya Prapti, of the attainment of knowledge. As stated in the Shvetashvata Upanishad, Yasya Deve Parabhakti Yatha Deve Tatha Guru. One who has this supreme devotion, unswerving devotion for Devata, for Atma, Yatha Deve Tatha, and similar unswerving devotion for Guru. That means he doesn't see the difference between the two. If devotion is identical, similar, that can be only when Guru occupies the same place that Devata occupies. Because devotion is someone who is most revered, reverential to me, most important to me. If Devata is most important because Devata is whom I want to know, if similar bhakti is also called for Guru, then Guru enjoys the same status as Devata. That means that disciple does not see the difference. Tasmai Shri Guru Murte Navedam Shri Dakshina Murte. He is Dakshina Murti in the form of Guru. Yasya Deve Parabhakti Yatha Deve Tatha Guru. One who has thus is supreme, unserving devotion for Devata, Atma Devata. Yatha Deve Tatha Guru. And the devotion that he has for Devata is also for the Guru. Tasyete kathita hyartha prakashante mahatmana. Tasya mahatmana, of that Mahatma. So here the aspirant is called Mahatma. Who has his devotion for Devata and Guru, of that Mahatma, that noble soul, tasya, for him, ete kathitaha artha prakashante. Artha, so what we are taught, the last verse of the Upanishad teacher says, what we are taught, those words or statements will reveal their meaning in the mind of the one who enjoys the supreme devotion for Ishvara as well as for the Guru. So that is the disposition of mind required. Because the words are to reveal themselves, there is nothing I can do about it. Jnanam is Vastu Tantram, Purusha Tantram. So knowledge has to take place. There is no kartrutvam or sankalpa, will on my part for knowledge to take place. Knowledge has to take place. And when does knowledge take place? When the words and the statements reveal their meaning, where in my mind. How come they do not reveal them now? Because that disposition is not there. And then one is to acquire that disposition called bhakti, which is when the words reveal their meanings, which is when the knowledge takes place. Iti Shrusiddham Dyotayan. So this bhaktehe vidya praptyangatvam Shruti Siddham. The statement of Shruti very clearly says that the Guru Bhakti also is as much a means of the knowledge as the Devata Bhakti. So Dyotayan, revealing that Guru Paramparam Pranamati. The teacher now salutes the succession of the Gurus. Padavakya. पदवाक्य प्रमाणज्ञैः दीपभूतैः प्रकाशितम् ब्रह्मवेदरहस्यं यैः तान् नित्यं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्. The meaning we'll discuss tomorrow in the tomorrow's class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashyakritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmeri Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.